I was an odd kid, and I know I'm not alone. There's many of us who are odd in various ways. Some of the kids maybe see someone playing like football. Maybe I'll reference my firstborn son, Unkunzi, would see like a Ronaldinho and he'd be hooked. And he'd watch video upon video online. And then he'd go outside and he used to carry like a soccer ball everywhere he went. And he'd be trying all these various skills. I remember when he moved to Asia with his mom, he sent me a video this one time where he was tapping a ball. He tapped the ball, I think it was over 100 times, and then he kept going. But it was being so obsessed with a certain skill because he fell in love with football, like obsessed. For some reason, I gravitated towards reading. And I was the weird kid that at the school library at Newcastle Senior Primary School, I tried to read as many books as possible. And when I started, I was like, I'm going to read everything in here. And I remember the library teacher, I think it was Mrs. Malan, she started putting books aside for me to be like, I think you're going to enjoy these. Of which, like, librarians back in the day, man, it's like people that plug you with music. Sizwe is like, I said, dog, I see you normally speak about, have you listened to this guy? Have you listened to this chick? I'm like, fuck, dog, thank you. I saw you speak about this movie. Have you watched this? Plug. She was plugging me. I went to the town library and I tried to devour as many books as I can. I even would read encyclopedias like a loser. I would read Tintin, Asterix and Obelix. There's these thriller books, Choose Your Adventure or something like that. I used to read like girl books like Sweet Valley High, Sweet Valley Middle School. And I was just consuming. By the time I get to varsity, sadly, that reached like the peak of my reading life. That's where I'd read the Bible. I'd read the autobiography of Che Guevara, a very thick book. Probably between the Bible and that autobiography is the longest books I've ever read. I'd read books on religion. I'd read fiction. I read George Orwell. I read biographies. I was reading books on history. And then I guess social media would take over where even though I don't read anymore, I think I'm in an age in my life where I'm consuming the most information of my life. If reading was like feeding me information, I'm now on like another level. Like imagine the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson where she takes this drug which ends up allowing her to use almost 100% of her brain. And in that, she ends up plugging into the world and downloading all pieces of information at the time historically to become, it feels like that now. Social media, TV, conversations with people, reading books. Anyways, when you choose what to watch or read, you are choosing your future thoughts and perspectives. They say success lies in your daily habits. You must choose today who you want to become tomorrow. So who do I want to become tomorrow? I want to become Patrice Mutsipe. First and foremost, do some research. Who is Patrice? Patrice comes from a certain family. That's fine, but Patrice went and studied law at Wits. Patrice went to work for a law firm. I think it was Bauman Gilfillan, if I'm not mistaken. Patrice goes and becomes a partner. Patrice, in his legal work, goes and he starts doing work with the mines. And in doing that, there's an opportunity to, I think it's cleaning gold shelves, or I'm not sure how it works. But he sets up a company to be able to sort out that work. And at a time when Anglo is offloading some of its assets and they're looking for a BEE partner to offload to, Patrice becomes the guy. It just so happens that his sister was also in mining. It happens that his family had been exposed to these families, the Menels, the Hersoffs. Now, you look at Patrice, he's now become a dollar billionaire. Sembongel. I want to become Patrice. What does that mean? Daily habits. I will figure out what I need to do to qualify to study law. And I start there. I study law. I go to Wits. If you have access to Wits, you go to Wits. Why are you here? I want to be Patrice Mutsipe. But you're at Wits. What do you mean? You're studying law? Patrice is in mining. Yes, but he started here. You go there and you go and work for an audit firm. You can even go to the same law firm. You're like, however long it takes me, I want to come work here because I want to end up being a partner here. If it takes me the rest of my life, that's okay, bro, because I'm trying to be Patrice.